Picture this: West Africa, late 19th century. A whirlwind of dust, the thunder of hooves, and the crack of rifles. On one side, the might of the French colonial empire, one of the greatest military forces on earth. On the other, a man, a visionary, a warrior who would defy them for 15 years. This is the story of Samory Touré. While France deployed tens of thousands of professional soldiers, armed with the latest technology, Samory commanded a force a fraction of that size. Yet, for over a decade and a half, he held them at bay. How did one man, against all odds, orchestrate one of the most brilliant and sustained resistance movements in African history? What secrets of strategy and leadership did he possess that allowed him to outmaneuver a global superpower? Stick with me, because the answers will change how you see history, warfare, and the power of a single, unyielding will. Born around 1830 in what is now Guinea, Samory Touré was not born into royalty. His journey began not in a palace, but in the bustling world of trade. He was a Guerrilla merchant, a path that taught him about logistics, negotiation, and the vast networks that connected West Africa. But his life took a dramatic turn when his mother was captured in a raid. To free her, he offered his services to her captors, and in doing so, discovered his true calling, the art of war. This wasn't a formal military academy, this was learning on the battlefield, where every mistake was fatal. He rose through the ranks, not by birthright, but by sheer talent and courage. He united disparate groups, creating the foundation of what would become the formidable Wassoulou Empire. He wasn't just building an army, he was forging a nation on the anvil of conflict, transforming from a simple merchant into a formidable warlord. His ambition was clear: to build a powerful, unified state that could stand against any threat, internal or external. But the greatest threat was already on the horizon. So, how did Samory's army, often outnumbered and outgunned, manage to frustrate the French for so long? The secret lay in 3 revolutionary military strategies. First, mobile guerrilla warfare. Forget traditional pitched battles. Samory's forces, known as the Sofa, were masters of the hit and run. They were divided into small, highly mobile units that knew the terrain like the back of their hand. They would strike French columns with lightning speed, inflict casualties, seize weapons, and then vanish into the savannah before a proper response could be mounted. Think about modern special forces tactics. That's what Samory was pioneering over a century ago. His army never presented a single, large target. They were everywhere and nowhere at once, a phantom force that bled the French war machine day by day, turning the vast landscape into their greatest weapon. This constant harassment exhausted the French, both physically and mentally. How do you fight an enemy that disappears like shadows? Samory's second pillar of success was a sophisticated intelligence system that was years ahead of its time. He understood a simple truth: information is power. He established a vast network of spies and informants that stretched throughout the region. His agents were everywhere: merchants, farmers, even people living within French-controlled areas. They used a system of coded messages and secret signals to relay information about French troop movements, supply lines, and strategic plans. Often, Samory knew what the French were planning to do before their own soldiers did. This incredible foresight allowed him to lay devastating ambushes and avoid traps. He wasn't just reacting to French moves, he was anticipating them, controlling the flow of the conflict. It was a war fought not just with bullets, but with whispers and knowledge. The third key was technological adaptation. Samory knew he couldn't rely on traditional weapons against modern rifles. So, he made capturing French weapons a top priority. Every successful raid wasn't just a victory, it was a resupply mission. But he didn't stop there. He established workshops with skilled blacksmiths who learned to repair these captured firearms. More impressively, they even learned to manufacture their own ammunition, recycling spent cartridges. This created a partially self-sufficient arms industry that reduced his dependence on foreign suppliers. While the French had factories thousands of miles away, Samory had mobile arsenals moving with his army. He was turning his enemies' strength against them, recycling their technology to fuel his own resistance. It was a brilliant example of innovation born from necessity. These strategies were put to the ultimate test in a series of epic confrontations. Consider the Battle of Woyowayanko in 1882. A French column, confident in its superiority, marched deep into Samory's territory. But Samory, armed with precise intelligence, was waiting. He didn't meet them head-on. Instead, he drew them into a carefully chosen location, using his mobile forces to harass them from all sides. The French found themselves in a kill zone, unable to form proper battle lines, picked apart by an enemy they could barely see. The defeat was a profound shock to the French command. One French soldier later wrote of the terrifying effectiveness of Samory's tactics, describing the Sofa as invisible assailants. This victory wasn't just a military triumph, it was a psychological one, proving that the Wassoulou army was a force to be reckoned with. Then there was the legendary siege of Sikasso. Sikasso was a heavily fortified city, an ally of Samory, which came under French attack. Samory didn't just defend, he coordinated a brilliant campaign to relieve the city. While the defenders held the walls, his mobile armies relentlessly attacked the French siege lines from the outside, disrupting their supply chains and forcing them to fight on two fronts. The siege became a grueling war of attrition. The level of strategic coordination was astounding. He was conducting a complex, multi-pronged operation across a huge area. Although Sikasso eventually fell after a prolonged and heroic defense, Samory's leadership during the campaign demonstrated his mastery of grand strategy and his ability to inspire incredible loyalty and courage in his allies. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, Samory's resistance never truly broke, it adapted. As the French pushed deeper, he executed a masterful scorched earth policy. He evacuated entire populations, burned villages, and destroyed crops, leaving nothing for the advancing French army to use. This forced the French to stretch their supply lines to the breaking point, making them vulnerable. He was essentially moving his entire empire eastward, a state on the march, fighting every step of the way. For 15 years, across thousands of square miles, through dozens of battles, he fought on. The sheer duration of his resistance is a testament to his strategic genius and the unwavering resolve of his people. But the Wassoulou Empire was more than just a war machine. To sustain such a long conflict, Samory built a highly organized state. The empire was divided into provinces, each governed by a loyal commander who was also a key military leader. This fused civil and military administration, ensuring efficiency and loyalty. The economy was fueled by control over gold mines, agriculture, and strategic trade routes. This wealth paid for his army and the administration of his state. He also established a system of justice based on Islamic law and promoted education. He was not just a warlord, he was a nation builder, creating a sophisticated political and social structure that was the backbone of his long resistance. In many ways, his state was as modern and organized as many of its contemporaries. Eventually, however, the relentless pressure of the French war machine, combined with famine and the exhaustion of constant warfare, took its toll. In 1898, after a final, desperate struggle, Samory Touré was captured in a surprise raid. Even in capture, his dignity and defiance were legendary. His final words to his captors were not of surrender, but of pride in his long fight for his people's freedom. But his legacy did not end there. His strategies of guerrilla warfare, intelligence gathering, and popular resistance became a blueprint for future generations. His story spread across Africa, inspiring early anti-colonial movements and, later, leaders of independence struggles in the 20th century. He proved that even against a technologically superior superpower, a determined and well-led people could mount a powerful and meaningful resistance. What can we, today, learn from a 19th century African emperor? The lessons are surprisingly modern. In business, his strategies teach us about asymmetrical competition. How can a startup take on an industry giant? By being agile, innovative, and using intelligence, market research, to find the competitor's weak spots. His resilience in the face of constant setbacks is a masterclass in crisis management. As a leader, Samory demonstrated the importance of vision, communication, and building a strong, loyal team. He empowered his commanders but maintained central control, a balance that many modern executives struggle to find. His quote, "The egg of the serpent must be crushed before it hatches," is a timeless lesson in proactive problem solving. His story is not just history, it's a manual for strategy, resilience, and leadership. The story of Samory Touré is a powerful reminder of the human spirit's capacity for resistance and innovation. To help you apply his timeless strategies to your own life and goals, I've put together a free PDF guide, Samory Touré's Strategies for Modern Success. It breaks down his key tactics into actionable steps for business, leadership, and personal growth. To get it, just click the link in the description below. But hurry, the first 100 people to download it will also receive a bonus chapter on his most powerful leadership quotes. Don't miss out. And if you found this story as inspiring as I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into history's most brilliant minds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.